Hello, hello, good evening, everyone. Make sure this is up loud enough. Here we are. I got it all together. Good evening. Good evening. Tuesday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Let me fix this up. Let me get all fixed up. St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Good evening. It's Tuesday Night Live, and I am ready to start and say hello. Sorry, I got sorry noise to the left and right of me. Okay, now I'm ready. Hello, good evening. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I looked it up. Why do we celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Why do I don't know if you can see it. I have on green so that none of you pinch me. Where does all that come from? So I looked it up. Let me tell you what I saw. And hello, Elaine Smith. I see you there in the chat in El Paso. Welcome to the show tonight. Let me say welcome to everybody. And please do type where you are viewing from in the chat and give me a thumbs up. Wiz of Corn, I see you. Hello. Thank you for watching tonight from El Paso as well. I love it. I love it. All right. Why do we celebrate St. Patrick's Day? What is it? I looked it up. Let me read it. Happy St. Patrick's Day. All right. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day to honor St. Patrick, the 5th century missionary who helped spread Christianity in Ireland. According to tradition, he used the 3-leaf shamrock to explain the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, which is why green and shamrocks are symbols of this day. Over time, March 17th, which they have determined is the date of his death or was the date of his death, also became a celebration of Irish culture, heritage, and pride around the world. So that is why we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Now, I didn't get all the information about why you have to wear green. I guess it falls into line with the shamrock. And if you get pinched if you don't, you know how we change things up. But that is why we celebrate. How many of you participated in celebrating St. Patrick's? Are you wearing green? Did anybody pinch you today? Hi, Tiffany from Arlington. I see you. I see you. Welcome in and thank you for being with us tonight. Okay, I got a bunch of cruise news. I got a bunch of games. I got a bunch of stuff, some surprises that I want to share with you. So I'm going to get started. Enough of this St. Patrick's business. All right. Let me tell you about the first story of the day. Wow. We already know. We know what's going on in the world and we know how it hits our own pocket, but let me tell you how it relates to cruising. What am I talking about? Anybody put gas in their car recently? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those gas prices. Well, I know what it meant to me to put gas in my car, but I do not worry about money. I don't work for money. Money works for me. I don't worry about it. But I did notice that gas was a lot more expensive from one week to the next. Well, think about cruise ships. Let me tell you this story. All right. We're talking about the $100 barrel warning. All right. So if you looked at the news today or for the last couple of weeks, you've seen the headlines. Brent crude has officially crossed $100 a barrel. So while most people are worried about the gas pump, I was looking at it. Were you? We're talking about your next vacation. So is your 2026 or your 2027 cruise in danger because of this? How does it all relate? Are fuel surcharges coming to cruise lines? We've talked about that before, that cruise lines had started thinking about charging us an additional fee to cover the fuel surcharge. We've talked about it. Would it happen now? Tonight, we're going to break down the math of the Middle East conflict, the Strait of Hormuz disruption, and why one major cruise line is sitting in kind of like the hot seat, much more than others. Let's dive into it. Okay. Hold on a second here. All right. Hedging versus hoping. I'm about to teach you guys something here. Now, you might have already known this, but I certainly had to get in and do my research. What is going on? Hedging versus hoping. All right. So when it comes to the industry, here's the reality. A single cruise ship can burn 250 tons of fuel a day. That is about $100,000 daily bill just for fuel before prices started spiking. So that was before. But now all cruise lines are affected equally. I'm sorry, not all cruise lines are affected equally. I'm going to tell you the difference. Let's start with Royal Caribbean. They are the strategic chefs right now. They do what's called hedge over 50% of their 2026 fuel needs. They guesstimate it, hedge it, locking in lower prices before the spike. That's what that's what Royal did. Norwegian, they also are heavily hedged, protecting about 40 to 50% of their bottom line. Grab the prices before the spike. Carnival Corporation, that's the big story. Carnival is the only major US line that does not hedge fuel, bet it in beforehand. They buy at market prices. Analysts are warning that a 10% shift in fuel costs could wipe out about $145 million of their net income this year. And when it comes to a business's bottom line, that's when we see things change. So, what does this mean for me and you? If you're sailing Carnival in 2026, keep a very close eye on those fare fluctuations because we would see it in the price of the fare if it's going to affect the bottom line. Anybody sailing on Carnival this year? Yeah, drop it down in the comments if you're sailing on Carnival. Which ship are you sailing on? So I'm about to drop the F word here. I'm about to drop the F word. Fuel. Fuel surcharges. That's the F word I'm talking about. Let's talk about the fine print, the fuel surcharge. Most of you don't realize that in your cruise contract, lines like Royal Caribbean, Carnival, they reserve the right to add a surcharge. It's in there. They let you know. Usually somewhere between $9 to $10 per person per day if oil exceeds a certain threshold. And that's typically somewhere between $65 and $70 a barrel. So we already started talking about that it's at 100. So we're well past that right now. Well, the cruise lines, they haven't actually pulled the trigger yet because wave season demand is so high. We've talked about wave season, right? This is the time all throughout March here, still coming up, that they're throwing out some of their best deals, the absolute best. And people, they know it. This is the time to book your cruise. Book your this year cruise, book your next year cruise, book your year after that cruise, because you can lock them in for ridiculously low prices and then pay on them. Wave season. Well, that demand is still so high that it's, offsetting. But if oil stays above $100, that fully paid cruise you have for next year could technically see a bill. That's right. I said your fully paid cruise, you could technically get a bill for additional charges, anywhere up to like $140 for a family of 4. That's just the reality. Will they do that? We don't know. Do they have the absolute right to do that? Absolutely. So here's my tip for you. Just always factor in a 5% buffer, right, into your cruise budget for any kind of unexpected industry shifts. And we're going to talk about some more unexpected things that are going on right now that you need to just have a buffer. And possibly cruise insurance. Do you buy cruise insurance? Do you buy cruise insurance? We're going to talk about it. Oh, yeah. Now, does this really mean that you shouldn't book a cruise right now? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just said wave season is still on board. Book your cruises, get them booked now. Demand is still outpacing supply. So we're good. But it does mean the recipe for a cheap cruise, it's definitely changing. We're seeing a shift toward more fuel efficient ships. Here are some of the fuel efficient ships. The Disney Treasure, yes, and the Icon of the Seas. Those are two of the ones. So that's what's going on with the oil prices. We already know. That's how it's affecting us. And then I told you two of the best like fuel efficient ships, the Disney Treasure, the Icon of the Seas. Now, I would love to hear your comments. I see that Tiffany's going on the Venezia in May. Yep. We certainly have no hope to get an additional bill out of a cruise that we've already paid for. Just keeping an eye on things, that's all. But I was talking about the Icon of the Seas, and I have something that I am super excited to share with you. We are doing something historic. I'm talking about me and you, us together. The right recipe for travel family. We are not letting oil prices stop the fun, and I hope you don't either. Tonight, I am officially teasing you and letting you be the first to know about what we are calling the Big Texas Icon-voy. Convoy, you get it? Texas Icon, a convoy? I know, I know. Just laugh with me. I'm calling it the Big Texas Icon-voy. What is it? It is our group cruise on the Icon of the Seas. So when Icon of the Seas arrives in Galveston on August 16th, so that's next August of 2027, we are going to be there as a group. I am cordially and personally inviting you to join us. And by booking a group now, that's why I went in and did it now, we can lock in those early rates before the fuel costs of 2027 are fully baked into those retail prices. So I have a block of cruise cabins booked and held for our group. And all you need to lock that in is a $50 deposit. Look, I know you got $50. $50 is just like a restaurant meal nowadays. $50, right? Grab that 50, get on the horn with me and get that locked in now. You have until next year to pay that off. Our cruise is not until August of 2027. Is there anybody out there who has a birthday in August? Maybe this could be your next year birthday cruise. I'm just saying. 50 bucks, lock it in, okay? This cruise, of course, will leave from Galveston. Why is this historic and iconic? The first time that they have brought an Icon class ship to sail out of Galveston. Come on, Galveston. Come on, baby. I love it. You know I do. Okay. I've got some incredible rates set aside for us. And of course, not only a great rate, I'm going to throw in some travel advisor perks for you as well. Reach out to me now to get locked in. And don't worry, as the show continues on, I'm going to tell you more. That was the first teaser. That was story number 1. How's everybody doing? Yes, somebody does have a birthday in August. That's something to do. All right. Let me give you a little trivia. I'm going to throw in some trivia in the midst of all of these cruise stories because, it's not bad news. It's good news. Some people who have oil, that's part of their stocks and bonds and all that. They're pretty excited, right? Let's be excited as well. I have so much to share with you. Let me find out. Okay, here's a bit of trivia. You don't have to answer it because I'm going to give you the answer, but it's a did you know? Did you know? It's called the Yellow Mystery. Here it is. Did you know that Disney Cruise Line is the only cruise line in the world permitted to have yellow lifeboats? That is correct. If you think about any of the cruises that you've went on, what color are the lifeboats? Well, if it wasn't Disney, they weren't yellow. They're the only one. Standard maritime law requires all of the lifeboats to be orange. But Disney got special permission to paint theirs what they called Pantone 108, yellow, which is the color that matches Mickey Mouse's shoes. So there you go. You are better in life now for knowing that. I thought that was quite cool, though. Lifeboats are orange, and you got to get special permission to have them a different color in it. What better cruise line to get that special permission? Disney. That was funny. Yeah. All right. Did anybody notice that about your? Yeah. Okay. We're going to move on to our next cruise story because the time goes by so fast, and I have got so much to share with you. And I'm so glad you're here with me tonight on St. Patrick's Day. Stop what you're doing. If you have a West Coast cruise booked for late 2026, let's talk about why. We have a developing situation at Terminal of Long Beach. Any of you ever cruised out of Long Beach? Yeah. If you're doing a West Coast cruise, cruising out of Long Beach, here's what's going on. Carnival Cruise Line has just officially scrapped 11 scheduled sailings on board the Carnival Firenze. So remember, Carnival has the 2 Italian-style ships, the Venezia and the Firenze. Well, the Firenze, 11 scheduled sailings cut. We're talking about over a month of voyages. And these voyages are happening October 12th through November 16th. They're completely gone from the schedule. Gone. So if you were booked on those, there are no more. So if you were planning one of those quick 3 or 4 night Baja, Mexico getaways to Ensenada or Catalina Island, your plans just got a fun Italian style wrench thrown in them. So we're going to look out why this happened and what kind of compensation they're giving to people who had a cruise one day and the next day they did not. And this also is, we're going to talk a little bit about their massive 2027 repositioning plans, because when something this big happens, there's a bigger picture, right? There's something going on. All right. So the effective dates are every single departure between mid-October and mid-November of 2026. So what's about 6 months away or so. This isn't just one cruise, it was a total block. Now, Carnival's official statement cites changes to itinerary plans. That's their answer. Well, why are you doing this? Changes to itinerary plans. That's just corporate speak for a strategic shift. They're shifting something. But if you look at the calendar, there's a massive clue. In early 2027, the Firenze is scheduled to leave California behind forever. That's right. She's heading on this epic journey around South America to begin a new life in Miami and New York. That's the plan. All right. So the 5-week gap in late 2026 is almost certainly a pre-repositioning dry dock. That's my best guess. Carnival likely needs to refresh the ship or perform like technical maintenance before she takes on those massive Atlantic and South America itineraries. Yeah. So that's the why. What are your options if you are one of the people who got canceled? And if you are, drop it down in the chat. We would love to know. Here are the options that they've given you. If you are one of the thousands of people impacted, you have a deadline, first of all. You must act by March 25th of 2026. So that is what? You got 8 days left. And here is how you get your refund. Number one, you can do what's called the rebook perk. If you move to a comparable, and that's in quotes, sailing, think Carnival Radiance or Carnival Panorama out of Long Beach. Carnival will protect your original fare. Plus, they are throwing in a $50 per person onboard credit, but there is a max of $100 per room. So no matter how many people are staying in the room, it maxes out at $100. Or you can do the full refund. If you do nothing, your booking will automatically cancel after that March 25th deadline, and you'll get 100% of your money back, including those normally non-refundable deposits. They'll give that back to you as well. So those are your two options. Now, if you want, here's a tip. If you want the $50 credit, call your travel agent now. Don't wait. Thousands of people are trying to move to the Radiance or the Panorama all at the same time. And those prime midship cabins, they're going to disappear just like that. So don't wait. Yeah. So this is part of a larger trend that we're seeing in 2026 and 2027. Carnival is just like aggressively right-sizing their fleet. They're moving the Firenze to the East Coast. They're doubling down on the Miami and New York City markets. And they're leaving a gap in Long Beach that other ships, they're going to have to fill. Yeah. Now, as for my Texas viewers, how you doing out there? This is why our Big Texas Icon-voy for August 2027 is so important. As these ships all like shift around, the demand for the Galveston market is going to skyrocket. I'm telling you. Getting locked in now on our big group cruise is the only way to avoid that redeployment price hikes that we're seeing in California right now. It's going to affect us. Yeah. So don't hesitate. If you are on one of those sailings that were canceled, contact your travel advisor now so you can book that next one if you plan to rebook a comparable cruise. And don't hesitate to reach out to me to get you booked on our group cruise. August 16th, 2027. Okay. All right. What do you think about that one? Yeah. I've got plenty more to share with you. Let me give you some fun in trivia. I already told you about the yellow, and Disney is the only cruise lines that is allowed to do that, right? Let me give you something else here. Hmm. Let me tell you about the carpet hack. And I'm going to give you one cruise line in particular. So, have you ever been on your cruise ship and you started walking and you're just feeling lost? You're like, where is my cabin? Where is my room? You're trying to figure it all out. Where am I? Here's a hack. On Disney Treasure in particular, but most cruise lines have some kind of hack that you can find. Look at the carpet. On the Aladdin theme decks, the scarab beetles in the pattern are always facing the front or forward of the ship. So all you have to do, especially if you're on Disney Treasure, is follow the bugs and it'll help you find the elevator. Now, if you're not on Treasure, there's others. I don't have the specifics, but there's others that you can look at the carpet, and the carpet is going to point you in one or the other after or the opposite. What's the opposite? The other way. Oh gosh, I think I need some Dr. Pepper. Help me out here. But on the Disney Treasure, I have given you the secret sauce. All right. I got to move on to this next story. And once again, it's one of the big headlines that's going on right now in the news. If you have a flight in the next 48 hours, put down your coffee or whatever else you drink and listen closely, because we are currently witnessing a total meltdown of the U.S. aviation system. It's terrible. I feel for all sides. It's crazy. Between a massive spring storm system and then the Department of Homeland Security shutdown, which it's a partial, we're in this government partial shutdown, and that started on Valentine's Day, on February 14th. Travel has turned into a disaster for many people. We're seeing TSA wait times hitting 3 hours. I'm talking about for you to stand in that line just to go through your TSA check. Tonight, I'm going to tell you exactly why people are missing their cruises, missing their flights, and what you must do to protect your vacation. Okay. So what's going on right now with the TSA? It's no pay, no show. How many of us would continue to work at our jobs if our job stopped paying us? Even if you had agreed to continue to work, how many of us could do that? How long could you go without being paid again? And for many people, it's not that long. Many people, say what you want, live paycheck to paycheck. And the average TSA pay is somewhere between like 35 to 40,000 a year. So they're getting their pay, but now they have missed not one, but two. Let me tell you the story. Here's the raw data. This weekend, over 50,000 TSA officers missed their first full check due to the funding deadlock in Congress, and the impact was immediate. I can only imagine, if I'm thinking about this is payday, whatever day that is for us, and then that day comes and goes with no money, that would be troublesome, right? Okay. The call-outs, what happened? Sunday, March 15th, saw 10.19% nationwide call-out rate. Call-out. I used to call it call-in, but that's when you call your boss and say, I'm not coming in, I'm sick, or I'm whatever. 10.19%. That is double the national average. Double the national average. Now, which places have been impacted the most? What are the hot zones? That is Houston Hobby. They had a staggering, this is crazy, 55% call out rate on Saturday. And if you were traveling Saturday, you already know it if you were over there in Houston. Atlanta, New Orleans, and JFK are seeing 1/3 of their staff stay home because they simply can't afford the gas to get to work. It's terrible. So here's the shutdown risk. Acting Deputy TSA Administrator Adam Stahl warned that if this continues, they may have to quite literally shut down smaller airports entirely. This isn't hyperbole. I couldn't even say that. It's a staffing emergency. If there's not enough people, they would have to shut it down. And that would be devastating. So, of course, this is having a missed cruise ripple effect. So we're seeing reports of travelers in Fort Lauderdale and Miami who arrived 2 hours early and still missed their flights because the lines wrapped around the outside of the building. I saw newscasts, people were outside of the airport waiting to get in just to go through TSA. So if you miss your flight, you miss the ship. And remember, during a government shutdown, staffing shortages are often classified as force majeure or an extraordinary circumstance. Your airline might not owe you a hotel voucher, and your cruise line certainly won't hold the ship for a TSA line. So in 2026, most of us already know the 2-hour rule. Get to your airport at least 2 hours before your flight takes off. That's dead right now. Dead. If you're flying out of a major hub like DFW or ATL or IAH, you need to be at the airport. I'm giving you 4 hours early minimum, and that's still not going to guarantee that you get through, but that's a good estimate right now. Now, to make matters worse, there's a winter storm Iona that just dumped a feet of snow. Let me see. Yeah, on the Midwest, leading to over 1,000 cancellations at O'Hare alone just yesterday. When you combine blizzard conditions with a skeleton crew at TSA, the system just snaps. It is a mess out there for so many people. If you are flying out in any of those airports that I talked about, or maybe any airport, you might want to check. Take your patience, pack it with you, take it with you, and get there early. All right. So I'm going to segue back to our big cruise that's coming up in August, our group cruise. This is exactly why for the Big Texas Icon-voy cruise in August of 2027, I'm going to recommend everyone fly in at least 24 hours before departure. And depending on how many of you actually do that, we can get together the day before the cruise and maybe meet up and have some fun, have dinner, have some laughs, talk, celebrate together. Isn't it better to be there and just chill in your hotel or whatever than stressing, trying to make it on time? I don't like that feeling at all. Yep. Because we're seeing right now that even a 1-day buffer isn't enough when the government is shut down. Yeah. So here's some tips. Use TSA PreCheck. Those lanes are still moving faster because they require fewer staff per person. So get your TSA PreCheck. Carry on your bags. If a flight is canceled, you don't want your luggage trapped in a terminal understaffed by unpaid workers. You don't want to. So I definitely want to hear from you. Who's been through DFW? Anybody recently gone to DFW or Houston? Like recently in the last couple of days, what are the lines looking like? I have no idea. If any of you know, drop it down in the comments. Yeah, that's a mess. That's a mess. We have a trip coming up fairly soon, and we've seen the difference in the airfare and also the difference in the number of flights available. There would be like 10 or 12 different options. We've seen it down to 1 or 2. You see a noticeable difference with flights right now. Okay. Here's another one. This is a fun fact, right? Godfather. We always talk about the godmothers on ships. And recently I told you about Robert Downey Jr. being a godfather. But who was the first? So let me tell you, while most ships have a godmother, Norwegian Escape broke tradition in 2015 by naming Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, as the ship's first ever godfather. The first godfather was Pitbull back in 2015 on the Norwegian Escape. Did you know that? How many of you like Pitbull? Like any of his songs? What's your favorite Pitbull song? I know that song, I just want to celebrate. I have that in a lot of my videos. It comes up a lot. Yeah, I didn't do it justice. You know what I'm talking about. All right. I'm going to move on to the next cruise news story. I'm going to talk to you about the Legend of the Seas. Yes, we're back to Royal Caribbean. a golden buzzer for Royal Caribbean. Anybody know what I'm talking about? This was big news. As a travel agent, I was on one of those travel agent calls where we get to hear some of the updates and news first. And when they told us this, I thought, how do I feel about it? I'm going to share it with you. If you thought the entertainment on the Icon and the Star of the Seas was big, wait until you hear what just happened. Royal Caribbean has officially hit the golden buzzer. You know what I'm talking about? For their next ship, the Legend of the Seas. For the first time in history, the world's #1 variety show is heading to the high seas. We're talking about America's Got Talent. And I know some of you out there watch it. I know you do. This isn't just a tribute, it's a full scale, permanent production. So tonight we're going to break down the lineup, the new venues on Legend, and why this ship is about to change the game for family entertainment in 2026. So let's look at the ingredients of this new show. So this is going to start in August of 2026 at the Royal Theater on Legend of the Seas. This will become the home of the Got Talent universe. Yeah, here are the acts. We aren't just getting one singer or one dancer. No, they're doing it big. We're talking about a rotating roster of the most iconic magicians, acrobats, aerialists, and musicians from the global franchise. So this is going to be big. Royal Caribbean is partnering directly with Fremantle, and that is the producers of America's Got Talent. And they're going to make this a high-tech, fast-paced, live extension of the TV show. So you can expect things like big LED screens, the dramatic lighting, and yes, the X buzzers and all that. It'll be part of it. It's included in your cruise fare, so they're not trying to charge you any extra. You're getting a Las Vegas level residency show right in the middle of the ocean. What do you think? Are we happy about this? Are there any fans of America's Got Talent out there? Do you watch it? Yeah. Now let's talk about the ship itself. So the Legend of the Seas is the sister ship to the Icon and the Star of the Seas, but she's bringing her own unique flavor. So she is floating out of the Meyer Turku shipyard earlier than expected. Her first revenue sailing is now set for July 11th of 2026 out of Rome. So just a few short months. I know it seems like July is a long way away from March, but a few short months, she's out of here. Besides America's Got Talent, the Legend is going to be debuting Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as its Broadway style musical. So you got that and the musical, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's some dining upgrades available. We're seeing the return of the Royal Railway, which is their station. Like, I think that's really cool. That is something that I do want to experience. It's like being on your own railroad in the middle of the ocean, and it's a dinner show and sounds like you're on a train. Yeah, the immersive train dining experience. And then a brand new Hollywoodland supper club, which fits that old Hollywood glitz and glamour theme perfectly, right? So for my Caribbean fans, here you go. Here is the timeline. Legend spends the summer of 2026 in the Mediterranean. We're talking about Barcelona and Rome. And before making her way, she's going to make her U.S. debut in Fort Lauderdale. And that'll be in November of 2026. She's going to be doing 6-night Western Caribbean and 8-night Southern Caribbean routes. And yes, every single Florida sailing includes a stop at Perfect Day at Coco Cay. So this is exactly why we are tracking these Icon class ships so closely. Yeah, as the fleet grows, the technology just keeps getting bigger and better, and the entertainment just gets much more legendary. So if you want that AGT, America Got Talent experience, Legend right now is the only ship in the world where you will find it. So you have to book a Legend of the Seas cruise. What are your thoughts about that? I think it's kind of cool. Is Legend of the Seas on your 2026 bucket list? Let me know in the chat. Would you do a Legend of the Seas? And here's the big question. Are you team Charlie and the I can't even say it. Are you team Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or team America's Got Talent? If you had to pick one over the other, Which one are you? Let me take a look at the chat and grab a drink of water. I like Pitbull. I like Fireball. Yeah, Fireball. Oh yeah, Fireball. They play that a lot on cruises. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Elaine said she's America Got Talent. Tiffany said Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Reg Mack said Charlie grew up on that. Yep. I am probably going to fall more with Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Yep. Kind of like Reg Mack. I grew up on that. That's, yeah. Yeah. Wiz of Corn said, I don't watch either one of them. If you had to pick, which one would you pick? Yeah, I don't watch either one either. But what I used, I guess I watched America's Got Talent when it first came out. Not very much, actually. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I used to watch every year. And then as they progressed on and Johnny Depp and they kept coming, I guess I stopped watching them, but I'd lean toward Charlie. So don't forget, while Legend is dominating in the East Coast, and it's going to dominate, it's going to be a big deal, we are making history in the West Coast. I'm talking about our Big Texas Icon-VOY in August of 2027. So whether it's Florida or Galveston, the Icon class is where traveling really is at. It's where it's headed. Ships now are trying to mimic, trying to one up, trying to do better. And finally, we are going to get that here in Texas. I want you to be one of the first to enjoy that with me. And speaking of Texas cruising, can you tell I live in Texas and I cruise? I've got a great story about the Carnival Jubilee. I'm excited for this ship. The gold standard is in Galveston. Can't deny it, can't deny it. So we're starting this with this story here with a big smile out of the port of Galveston. The results are in, y'all, as they would say in Texas. And the Carnival Jubilee, which they call the Pride of Texas, has done the impossible. What did she do? During a surprise, unannounced inspection yesterday, March 16th, the Jubilee scored a perfect 100 out of 100. When was the last time you scored a perfect score on your test? People test my patience. And I have not gotten 100 lately, but she got a 100 and it was on a surprise inspection. This is a ship that has over 5,000 guests. This is almost unheard of. So we're going to break down what was inspected. We're going to break down why this matters for your next booking and the big, massive celebration that's happening right now. Let's talk about it. So the inspection was conducted by the VSP, which is called the Vessel Sanitation Program out of the CDC. They don't call ahead. They just show up at the gangway at 5 a.m. and say, hey, we're here. Yeah. For a ship like the Jubilee, which is over 183,000 gross tons, this is a brutal 8-hour marathon because this is what they inspect. They inspect the galley, every single fridge, the temperature logs, and the dishwasher. That's all inspected. They inspect the pools and the spa. They check for the exact chlorine and pH balance in those big, gigantic Texas-sized pools and whirlpools. They check the potable water, ensuring the entire ship's drinking supply is 100% pure. They check the child activity centers, making sure Camp Ocean is sanitized to the highest standards. Now, to get a 100, as you can imagine, you have to have 0 critical violations. Even a slightly loose tile in the kitchen or 1 hair found in the storage bin can knock you down to a 97. The Jubilee started with a 91 when she launched back in 2024. She moved to a 97 last year. And now, go ahead, girl, total perfection. I think that's really cool. So we have to give it to the crew. Give them a huge shout out. Shout out to the Jubilee crew. Brand Ambassador John Held shared that this was a total surprise, and the hotel director and the sanitation teams have been working around the clock, and we probably can agree. We believe that. Think about just the sheer scale of that. This ship serves over 20,000 meals a day. keeping every single surface plate and glass perfect while managing 6,000 plus passengers. Yeah, big deal, a Herculean effort. Now, while other lines, even some luxury lines, have struggled with outbreaks recently. I know we've talked about the outbreak on the Star Princess, brand new Princess Cruise Line ship, over 150 people sick. The Jubilee is proving that big can also be clean. Yeah, I was very excited to hear that. Let me see what you guys have said. Um, Go Jubilee. Well, that's really nice. And okay, you'd pick the America's Got Talent. Yeah. Um, the Jubilee has set the bar high. We're doing a great job here. So why does this matter? Let's say for our Big Texas Icon-voy in August of 2027. Well, it proves that Galveston ships are being held to the highest standard in the world. When you book a cruise from Texas, you aren't just getting convenience if you live over in this market, you're getting an elite level of service. And the Jubilee, like I said, has set the bar high. So when the Icon comes here next in 27, the pressure is going to be on. So if you want to see what a perfect 100 ship looks like, the Jubilee sails 7-day Western Caribbean routes right now. And it's officially the cleanest ship at sea. So I can get you booked on the Jubilee. I've done several Jubilee bookings recently. I think that's exciting. I was on a call. This is a little break. I was on a call with my BDM, my business development manager for Royal Caribbean, when I was setting up our group cruise. And she was talking to me about the logistics, the difference of the Texas market compared to, like, let's just say Florida, the Florida market. And here in the Texas market, what they found is that people drive to the cruise ship. The Florida market, the majority of people, this is what she tells me, they did the research, they fly in. Okay. But in the Texas market, the majority of people drive in. And she said the radius is up to, now this was shocking to me. She said the radius was up to 1,200 miles. What? People will drive 1,200 miles to get to Galveston to get on a cruise ship. You know, very interesting. That's just extra. Yes. The Jubilee is Reg Matt. Yep. We have enjoyed her myself. Let me give you some more. What time is it? We're doing good. I got a game to play with you at the end. I want to see what you think. Let me give you some more trivia. Okay. Here's one. Now, this, I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to answer for me. What is a B2B? If I said a B2B cruise, what is a B2B in the cruise world? What does that mean? Type it down in the comments. A B2B, when we're talking about the cruise world, what does that mean? I'll tell you in a minute. You know what that means. You know what that means. I bet you do. All right. While I'm waiting for you to answer that, I'm going to move on to my next cruise news story. Alaska cruises, Alaska sailings. Yep, you're answering correct. It's a back-to-back. Back-to-back. And I'll tell you what that means because it's different than a side-to-side. All right. The Tracy Arms tsunami shutdown. Have you heard about what's going on for the Alaska market? A force of nature. So we have a major update for anyone heading to the last frontier this summer. If your 2026 Alaska itinerary included a visit to the very iconic Tracy Arm Ford and the Southwest Sawyer Glacier, I have some news that just might shock you. Now, this has a lot more to do with nature than anything else, but nature has officially closed the gates. We're seeing a wave of cancellations for Tracy Arm visits across multiple different cruise lines, but most notably if you're on a Holland America line. And it isn't about too much ice. That's not the problem. It's about a massive geological event that's made this waterway a safety hazard right now. So tonight, we're going to talk about the landslides, the localized tsunamis, and the plan B that they're doing that might actually be a hidden gem for your vacation. Okay, so let's get into the ingredients of this story. Back in August of 2025, right, this gargantuan landslide occurred near the South Sawyer Glacier. We're talking millions of cubic feet of rock that slammed into this like narrow ford. So, what does this matter for your now 2026 cruise? Well, the rock fall triggered a massive displacement of water, essentially like this mini tsunami inside that narrow ford. Geologists from the U.S. Geological Survey are still monitoring the site. The area is currently deemed unstable, with a very high risk of having this secondary rockfall at any time. The slide didn't just move the rock, it churned up massive amounts of ice, making the already tight navigation through this S curve of Tracy Arm nearly impossible for the megaships. They just can't do it right now. So, what does that mean? What is the plan B? The plan B is now Endicott Arm and Dawes Glacier. So if you're on the Euro Dam, the Connex Dam, or the New Amsterdam, these are all Holland America this year. What happens to your glacier day? Well, Holland America has officially announced they are diverting all of their 2026 Tracy Arm visits to the Endicott Arm Ford. So don't panic, don't panic. Endicott Arm is the twin sister to Tracy Arm, and in many ways, it's really better for cruisers. Here's why. Let me tell you. This is a massive active tidewater glacier. So unlike the Sawyer glaciers, which can sometimes be blocked by ice, ships can usually get much closer to Dawes for that thunder carving experience. And for those of you who booked the Tracy Arm Ford and Glacier Explorer boat to boat excursion, definitely check your emails. These are being modified to do the Endicott Arm Explorer. It's still an 8.5 hour experience, but you'll be seeing Dawes Glacier instead. So they're making sure to have something planned. It's not just going to be a bust, right? And it could be better. And we have to mention the heavy hitters in the small ship world. Earlier this year, Alaskan Dream Cruises, which is a beloved indigenous-owned boutique line, they completely ceased operations in 2026. Yeah. So between the rising cost of fuel, which we already discussed, and the increasing difficulty of like navigating these changing Alaskan waterways, the expedition side of the industry, they're really feeling the heat. That's why we talk about having travel insurance. So when nature moves a mountain, your itinerary is going to move with it. That's what's going on there in Alaska. Anybody got an Alaska cruise plan? I want to hear from you in the chat. Has your Juno or your Tracy Arm been swapped yet? Let me know. Let me know. How are we doing? Okay, back to back. You're correct. A back-to-back cruise is when you book 2 cruises in a row on the same ship. A lot of people get it confused with a side-to-side. A side-to-side is when you get off that ship and then get onto a different ship. You get off the Carnival Jubilee and get on the, let's see, which one? You pick the name. Why can't I even think of the name of one right now? Something of the Seas. Harmony of the Seas. I did a video on that one. Have you looked at the Harmony of the Seas? If you were looking to get on a Royal Caribbean ship with a beautiful new upgrade, check out the video about the Harmony. So the difference between a B2B, which is a back-to-back, and a side-to-side. Okay, I've got some more trivia for you here. I want answers. Tell me if you know these. On which ship can you find the Haunted Mansion Parlor in 2026? That's a giveaway, right? Which one? On which ship can you find the Haunted Mansion Parlor in 2026? Let me see. I'm sure you know. That would be the Disney Treasure. Okay. What is the official name of the whale tail on a Carnival ship? What's it really called? The whale tail. The iconic. That's how you know it's a Carnival ship. What's it called? Anybody know? And I have another one for you. I'm going to wait and see. Drop it in the chat. How many pools are on the Icon of the Seas? As you know, that's going to be our group cruise next year. How many pools are on the Icon of the Seas? Anybody know? Have you been on the Icon already? So I asked you this. What is the official name of the whale tail on a Carnival ship? And how many pools are on the Icon of the Seas? All right. Before I give you those answers, I am going to, let me see if I can do this, ask you to play a game with me. It's called Pack It or Scrap It. Pack it or scrap it. We have time. We have time. So I talked to you a little bit about some of the things, I think it was last week, the top things that are banned on a cruise ship. And some of this hasn't been banned before, and some of it's always been banned. And if I haven't asked you already, give us a thumbs up. I need those likes to be pushed out. Let's see. Don't know what the whale tail is called. Guess 7 pools. Tiffany? Boom, 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 boom. You would be correct. 7 pools. 7 pools on the Icon of the Seas. And the whale tail is called the funnel. The funnel. Yeah, right. All right, I want to do pack it or scrap it with you. I'm going to show you an item, and I need you to drop it in the chat. Is that something we can pack on a cruise ship now, or is that something we need to scrap because it's now banned? Banned. Ready? All right, play with me. This is a 19-ounce can of Lysol disinfectant spray. You want to go to your room and you think, they didn't get a chance to clean it that well. I just want to disinfect the toilet, maybe the carpets, the stuff. I'm going to take my handy dandy Lysol. She was good during the pandemic. She'll be good on a cruise. Is this a packet or scrap it? Let me know. That's the first one. What do you think? We're going to keep going, then I'm going to come back to them. The next, your fan. Now this is just the neck fan that I have, but this is my fan because I get hot sometimes. Can you take your little handheld fan on the cruise ship for all of us hot-blooded? Check it and see. Can you take your fan? Pack it or scrap it? Let me know. Hold on. I'm going to have to get up for some of these. Next, flushable wipes to take care of all the down there concerns in the bathroom. You want to get a little extra clean, so you take your flushable wipes so you can take care of business. Pack it or scrap it. Let me move this. You answering? Okay, I see. Let me open this one up right quick. I should already had it open. Let me see. Pack it or scrap it. This is USBs and extra plugs for us because cruise ships don't have enough. Pack it or scrap it. Can I take it? I have a bunch of cruise equipment. I said cruise, vlogging and video equipment and your phone, your watch, your glasses, all that stuff. You need more plugs than they have. Can you take it, pack it, or scrap it? You guys playing along? Okay, I see you. Thank you for playing. We have a couple more. You're like, well, what is this? Let me open it up and show you. Can you tell what this is? It's packed down. It's my drone. It's my drone because I want to get those aerial shots. Can I take my drone with me on the cruise? I need to get, that good view. It comes in on me and I'm going from the air. Can I take my drone, pack it, or scrap it? A few more. This is, by the way, this is what she looks like, the drone. And wait, I just have one more, I think. I'm not going to take this out of the box, but it is my Bluetooth speaker because I want to hear my own hidden tunes in the room. My Bluetooth speaker. Pack it or scrap it. Come on now. Play with me. We are some savvy cruisers here, and we're taking care of business. We're letting each other know. Those are all of my things, I think. Did I show you everything? Trying to make sure. Oh no, no, no. There's another. It's hidden behind here. Can you see what these are? The little cruise heavy duty. They stick all together. Pack it or scrap it. I have a hat I want to hang up. I have swimsuits I want to hang up, my lanyards, and there's not enough hooks in the room. Pack it or scrap it. All right. Let's see what my cruise family said. We're starting off with our Lysol. What'd you say? Let me look at let me go up here. Yep. Here we go. The cruise went down. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Reg Mac, keep your wife because she's right. Scrap it. You cannot take this. You cannot take it. And we know because they took it from us. You can take the little small bottles, but this bad boy, say goodbye to it. They're like, we're going to clean it. They said it's a hazard. This could, I don't know what it could do besides disinfect, but you can't take this one. That's a scrap it. That is correct. I got to see which ones that I showed you first. Oh, the neck fan. What did you say? I'm looking at your answers for the scrap it. Yep. Pack that fan. That is a yes. You can take your small handheld fans and also the other little small kind that sit in your room because a lot of people are hot. And this will be with me on my cruises. That's a packet. Absolutely. What did you say for this one? For the flushable wipes. Let me see what you said. Yep. You are correct. I have two different things. I have a packet and I have a scrap it. The correct answer for this one is scrap it. They will come knocking on your door and look at you like, no. They only want the toilet paper only. That nothing else, nothing else in that septic system or whatever kind of system it is. This is a scrap it. Keep it at home. Yeah. The extra here. So this is probably a little controversial because this I can still get away with. And even though right here on the box, let me see if I can show it to you. It says that it's this way. Can you see? I'm not doing a good job. Because it's non-surge, so this is okay. But some cruise lines now have been taking these. So you got to be really careful. You definitely want non-surge protected, and you want it to say cruise line approved, but there's a 50-50 chance. I'm going to say that you can still pack this, but some of them are taking it. Yeah. Yep. For my pretty little drone so I can get those good pictures. I'm going to get my aerial views. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm sad. They said no. It's a scrap it. Reg Mac, you were right. Who else? Pack the power strips, scrap it. Yes, you are correct. And for my Bluetooth speakers, yep, Reg Mac said, yep, you are correct. Carnival said, don't bring these on here. We got enough bass playing in our clubs. Don't bring it. Others are still allowing you to bring them on some, but it's getting dicey now. But the Bluetooth, especially on Carnival, nope. You cannot have. And I think the last thing, I showed you everything. The magnets, yes, you're correct. That is a packet. You are still allowed to bring your magnets. As a matter of fact, I think on our last cruise, there were some left behind. So we took them. We did. It was only one. Yeah. How'd you do on that one? Kudos to you. 2 thumbs up. It's already time. It goes by so fast. I love spending time with you on Tuesdays to share the cruise news, be it, positive or not so positive. We need to know what's going on. I love that I got to share with you our big group cruise. I hope to see each and every one of you on that cruise. I would love to have dinner with you the night before. I would love to talk ship and have a great time on the Icon when she gets to Galveston. Please join us. All it takes is $50 to get you there. And I love when you play along with me and it feels like family fun, right? All right, you go and have the rest of a great St. Patrick's Day and a good evening. And I'm going to see you back again next Tuesday. Bring a friend. All right. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.